Good afternoon. This is Maria Sanchez with KADYTV.com. It's Monday, November 1st, and guess what? We're live. Yes, so if you're watching us now, that means that you are in at the ground floor. Last week, Monday, was our first live broadcast, and we're keeping on. So we're Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock, and we go as long as the show goes because it's live television. So when it happens as you see it. There's no second take. There's no safety net. There's no, let's do that over again. No. So you may see gaffes. You may see snafus. You may see misstatements. It's okay. That's the beauty of live television in the good old days of broadcasting. After our program today, we're going to broadcast, or rebroadcast, we should say, the Sheriff Bob Brooks Swan Song retirement party that we were privileged to attend on Saturday evening at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. We had some wonderful interviews with Congressman Elton Gallegly and Supervisor Peter Foy, as well as some Sheriff's Foundation board members, and Amy Fukutomi, I think that's how you say her last name, who is one of the chairs of the event, as well as Randy Harris, who was the other chair, and her husband is Scott Harris, who is our political correspondent who visits with us every Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So stay tuned for that. And then coming up after our segment with Bob Worthley, who is the representative that visits with us every Monday with Crime Stoppers, we have in Ventura County Clerk Recorder Registrar of Voters Mark Lunn is going to be visiting with us because tomorrow, of course, is Tuesday, November 2nd, Election Day. So Bob, welcome to the program. Thank you as always for taking the time. And as you said, you had to retire from your professional position in order to spend all this amount of time that you do volunteering for our county. And I want to thank you for that personally.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to talk about the Most Wanted.
You're welcome. And you are an inspiration. And if we can have more people like you doing for the betterment of the folks that live and work in our county, imagine what this world would be like. So you give us inspiration and you provide a great role model for what people can do. Even if they're employed, people have time. You just need to make the time. But so you're working full-time volunteering, right?
Almost. That's what it seems like anyhow.
Between volunteers in policing, Crime Stoppers, and I know you're active in your parish.
Right.
And then you're a husband, and you're a father, and you're a grandfather. Yeah, so you got a lot on your plate.
And I just took the grandkids on a little trip down to the Queen Mary for a couple of days.
Did you?
That was great.
What'd you do?
That's what I did.
And why?
Stayed on board and wanted to look for ghosts.
Is that right? They do have kind of a Halloween thing, right?
They had a fabulous Halloween thing down there.
So I know this isn't part of Crime Stoppers, but it's okay. Tell me about that. What was it like? And is that something that you'd recommend?
Well, of course, next Halloween they'd have to wait, but they had a lot of those cargo tainers out there, and they had all kinds of scenarios for spooky things, and it's good for kids of any age. But my granddaughters are 13 and 23, but they just thoroughly enjoyed the trip, and we stayed on the main deck. It was one of the old first-class staterooms, so we stayed in one of those rooms. So my wife and I and the two gals, we had a ball. Really
How sweet of you. No, I got married on the Queen Mary actually in 1997, and I didn't know what a great facility it was. It's a floating hotel basically, but it's the history of it too is amazing.
Well, that's what I like. I especially enjoyed touring that Russian submarine that's up in the bow, the old Scorpion.
And did they do fireworks off the bow? Because they used to. Maybe that's only a summertime thing.
It might be. I didn't. But in the middle of the week, too, they don't have all of the same activities. So they were going to have a lot more. We were on one of the quiet days.
So you were there for 2 nights?
We just stayed for one night.
One night.
Went in one morning, and we did the whale tour,
Whale watching?
Whale and dolphins, because one of the granddaughters, Lauren, is a student at Foothill Tech, and dolphins is one of her study things this year. So it was cool. We had looked at some of the blogs. They had seen one or two the day before. The day we went out, we got into a pod, well over 500, including babies. And we were in the middle of that pod for 15, 20 minutes. It was phenomenal.
And were they breaking the water?
They were breaking the water, and some of the small ones were coming out of the water and slapping their tails on the water, having a ball. It was gorgeous, just beautiful.
Now, of course, we have that right here in the county with Island Packers, and there's another company that does it too. We're out of Channel Islands Harbor and
That's right.
The Ventura Harbor, I guess.
But all the years I spent at sea while I was in the Navy, I never once saw a pod that large. I mean, every place you looked, it was dolphins. It was really impressive, really neat.
Good for you. And boy, thank you for your service to our country as well. How long were you in the Navy?
20 years.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was a career.
That was my first career. That's right.
Did you have anything to do with the bases here in the county?
I was at Hueneme several times. 3 times with the Seabees. My last Vietnam tour was with Mobile Construction Battalion 5. So I had sea duty and I had duty with the Seabees both.
And we were privileged to be participating in the CB Museum soft launch because the structure is complete. And so, in fact, if you are interested, it's on our archives. And we did the behind the scenes thing and showed some of where moving the exhibits over. And we interviewed several CBs, and most of them were Vietnam vet CBs.
A lot of them like to get active and even volunteer for things like the museum.
In fact, one man was 94 years old. He built the runway in Hawaii.
There is somebody older than I am. Okay.
And he was quite the interview. I mean, he was very entertaining and sharp as a tack. In fact, I asked him at one point, what and how is it, do you think that you have all your faculties together? He goes, you mean, why am I still stomping around? And I was like, well, that wasn't what he said, but we just started roaring. He was just precious.
Well, when Admiral Ben Morrell started the Seabees, they recruited a lot of people that were already experienced in the construction trades. I was not in that. I was in the logistics area. But the construction trades. So they recruited people that were already in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and so forth in World War II.
He said, I think he was 28 years old, and they had to make an exception because he was supposed to have been 30, but he had been doing construction prior to that, and I didn't realize that, so I learned all of that. And that's quite something for us to be proud of here in the county, the CB Museum. Yeah.
Well, a lot of those guys were reactivated during Vietnam. They were in through the reserves, and it was not uncommon to see Seabees still in their 40s, 50s. I met a few in their 60s that were still on active duty, that went in active duty through the reserves.
Goodness. Well, so I'm glad we had that chance to catch up in that regard, talk about history. And I always want to call you Robert because that's how I know you, but you prefer Bob, right?
I prefer it.
Yeah. Bob has been he was the correspondent, the Crime Stoppers correspondent on my afternoon drive radio program, which I had with Gold Coast Broadcasting, which is how we know of each other, but had never really met because radio was, over the phone. And so now it's great fun to have you in studio. And, I feel like it's an old friend. So we have just a little bit of time left in this segment. So we're talking about the most wanted in the county the list comes out on Monday, and it's published by the folks through the generosity of the Ventura County Star on Tuesday morning. And Bob is kind enough to come and give us some advance information as well as the pictures and the description. So you want to start out with one, and then we'll continue with the rest in the next segment?
Certainly.
Okay.
Well, the first one we have is Ricardo Eduardo Laureano. And he's Hispanic, 30 years old, 6 foot, 225, black hair, brown eyes, 2 violation of probation warrants for use of a stun gun, battery, and possession of drugs. And Laureano, Hispanic, he's actually Hawaiian, and he's been pretty active with Ventura County Sheriff's Department. 9 contacts with them. His warrants are for domestic battery, use of a stun gun or taser, and allegations of prior felonies. He has prior convictions, drunk driving, and other things. So,
and as a tease, because we're going to take a break, we're not going to go to the rest until the next segment, Rod, just so you know. So as a tease, and we won't say now, but we're going to talk about the power of the media. Now, the media is maligned a lot because of its agenda sometimes, because of its politics, because of how it reports or chooses not to report. But this is an example of how the media has been a partner. And we'll just leave it at that to say that it's because of you, the viewers, and the readers that we have some pretty phenomenal information to report for the month of October. So we'll be right back. You're watching the Maria Sanchez Show right here on KADYTV.com with our in-studio guest, Bob Worthley, with Crime Stoppers of Ventura County.
stalking. So call Maria, her show is killer. You won't believe it, darling, there's long-time listeners and first-time callers. They love Maria, that's why they keep saying, and we're gonna get loud, but we're gonna get close. She's here and she's going strong.
Welcome back to the Maria Sanchez Show. Thank you so much. You're watching us live. We're in real time. We're Monday through Friday from 4 o'clock to whenever. And then, of course, we go wherever the news is. So after the broadcast today, we're going to show you the footage that we got from being a guest with Sheriff Bob Brooks and his retirement party at the Presidential Library. Now, his last day isn't until Thursday, January 2nd, where on Friday, January 3rd, Sheriff-elect Jeff Dean is going to be installed as the sheriff for the county. And if you want, Jeff was a guest in studio in August, and we've got every interview that we've done on our archives, so feel free to nosy and mosey your way around the website. We just launched it a couple weeks ago, so we finally moved all the archives over on Thursday night, so it should be up and running, and we appreciate your eyes. We do have a visit with President Bush coming up later this month at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. We are simulcasting his visit to the library as well as Mike Huckabee's book signing. So when things are going on in the county, we're going to be there, including tomorrow night. We're not having the program at 4 o'clock tomorrow because we're going to be broadcasting live from the Government Center at 8 o'clock with election results returns for Ventura County. So we're back to doing that. And you don't have to go online and try and find out. No. In fact, Mark Lund, who's our guest next segment, he is his official title, Ventura County Clerk, Recorder, Registrar of Voters. I'm hoping that he's going to come and give us updates as they occur. Elton Gallagher has said that he will speak by. We've invited other candidates to do the same. So make sure you catch our election coverage tomorrow night starting at 8 o'clock live. And we're continuing our conversation with Bob Worthley with Crime Stoppers of Ventura County. And you shared the first most wanted, and now you have, you know what, we teased. We might as well finish the tease. We teased what happened in October with the most wanted and folks and apprehensions. So why don't you let our viewers know what the power of the public has done?
Well, the power of the media. During the month of October, and some of these are from, all of these people were arrested and they had been featured in the most wanted. Some of these are as a result of tips from the public. There's a couple of cases people turned themselves in because they saw their names. But it gives you an idea, and this does not include people that were spontaneous where somebody saw a crime or was aware of a crime and just phoned it in. This is only the people that were on the most wanted. So it's pretty good because you're talking 10 arrests during October from people that were featured in the most wanted. And would you like to hear the names?
Yes, please.
We give
Thank
those.
you.
We have Juan Garay, Daniel Munoz, Dorothy Dobbin, Renee Ramos, Danny Tran, Francisco Gomez, Victor Herrera, Johnny Garcia, Michael Williams, and Robert Ortega. And 5 of these 10 were parolees. And the Department of Corrections and the parole agents that we have here are just awesome. I mean, they really work hard. If these people don't show up like they're supposed to and they take off, that they have a really good record of finding them.
So look at how this falls into my adage, my personal adage about one voice, one vote, one paycheck, what you do, how you vote, where you spend your money, and what if you pay attention to what's going on, our streets are safer.
That's correct.
So let's go to number 2.
Okay. I would mention too, though, we've actually had cases that within 24 hours of publication, we've had as many as 6 people located.
Wow.
Now, some weeks we won't get any.
Right.
But we've had sometimes as many as 6 were located.
Nice.
So through tips that have come in, so it varies. Okay, number 2, we have Jerry Dean Bohannon. He's white, 48 years old, 5'10", 180, brown hair, hazel eyes. He has tattoos of skulls on his left arm, faces on the right arm, and he's on parole for drug possession and possession of stolen property. He's wanted on a parole warrant for absconding. He took off. The next one is Freddie Luis Avalos. He is Hispanic, 52 years old, 5'7", 230, brown hair, brown eyes, failure to appear warrant on 2 counts of insurance fraud. Next we have Aaron Olin Linman, white, 30 years old, 6'1", 180, brown hair, blue eyes, 4 violation of probation warrants for grand theft and DUI alcohol.
And what?
DUI
Oh,
alcohol.
DUI.
And we have Deirdre Ann Kummerfeld, also known as Torricellis, white, 38 years old, 5'5", 125, failure to appear warrant for possession of drugs for sale, and 3 violation of probation warrants for possession of drugs, forgery, and DUI alcohol. And last we have Luis Vincent Rodriguez, Hispanic, 22, 5'11", 210, black hair, brown eyes. He's wanted for failure to appear warrant for dissuading a witness from reporting a crime and petty theft. And that dissuading a witness was actually pled down a little bit from what the original charge was. And realize that every one of these guys has pretty extensive records.
That's called rap sheet, right?
Oh yeah, 5, 10, 15, 20 offenses is not unusual for these people.
How does it happen that they keep on staying not incarcerated and able to keep breaking the law? It's because it's not that egregious each one? I thought there was the 3 strikes thing, and then if you're saying they have 10 and 15 incidents...
Well, not all felonies.
Okay.
Because they're not all felonies, so they may not all come in within the 3 strikes.
Okay.
But sometimes people get arrested, and we even wonder why they're out on the streets the next day too.
Right.
They make bail somehow, and they're out, and sometimes on serious charges. But,
And they continue to hang around the county, though. In other words, they don't go make trouble elsewhere.
yeah, they stay. They mess
here.
up their own nest. I've often wondered about that.
Yeah, what's that about? Well, I guess,
I don't know.
like you said, if this is home, right? So
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But if they stay around, then it's likely that then they'll be identified because they're walking amongst us.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what do the people do if they see a most wanted?
Yes. Why don't you answer that
I
question?
think that'd be a good one.
Okay.
We if you see a most wanted, right in sight, call 911. Better off. Tell them that you saw them in Crime Stoppers, and you'll still get credit for that one. But if you know they're in a particular home, you know the location, you have information as to whereabouts, call 1-800-222-TIPS, T-I-P-S, and that's a bilingual call center. Or you can get on our website, Ventura County Crime Stoppers.org, and you can click on the web tips, or you can go on your cell phone and use a text message, and you just send the message busted to crimes, C-R-I-M-E-S, and after the word busted is in there, put down what the tip is. And on the website, the web tips, and on the text messaging, we can actually have a two-way communication.
Anonymously.
Anonymous.
Yeah.
Totally, very anonymous.
Right. And then also about the rewards, that there are rewards associated, not with all of them, but with some of them, and it's
That's
a
right.
point system, and they can be up to $1,000, and
Yeah.
it can be anonymous, the reward.
That's right. Police officers are the ones that actually recommend the amount of the rewards, and we have it set up so the rewards can be paid anonymously and they're paid in cash. We know of no instance any place out of the 600-some thousand arrests that are on the system that anybody's identity has ever been compromised. So it's very well protected.
And that's something to keep in mind, that if you are part of a gang, or if you are part of the family, or if you choose to remain anonymous, there is no way that your information can be shared unless you want it to be shared. You have to make that decision.
That's right.
Okay.
And we've had a few cases when people, after communicating with us, have actually decided they wanted to go ahead and talk to the detectives. But in most of the cases, they don't, so their anonymity is totally protected under all circumstances.
So Bob Worthley is our Crime Stopper correspondent. He visits with us every Monday. You can set your clock, 4 o'clock, as we are live every Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock. All of the contact information is on our website as well as onto theirs. This episode you can see at any time after we broadcast it. So if you wanted to share it with somebody, or there's somebody you thought you heard that you knew but your eyes weren't on the screen or whatever, please feel free to view it again. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Mark Lunn, who is the Ventura County Clerk Recorder and Registrar of Voters, is going to be visiting with us because tomorrow is Election Day, November 2nd. Thank you so much for your time. Bob Worthley with Crime Stoppers. You're watching KADYTV.com.